there, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beneath the Lift Tower. My name's Charles McGillivray, and as always, I'm joined by Jess Keble and Simon Stacey. We're a fans podcast by fans for fans of Northampton Saints. How are you both doing?
Good, thank you.
I'm good, thanks, mate.
Good. A few housekeeping things. First of all, say thank you to the Rugby Paper for supporting us and helping us develop our content. I mean, looking through their latest issues, a few things we can probably discuss at the moment in there today, but we'll get into those. Anything else you want to start with, the two of you?
I was just going to say, why don't we jump into the Italy-Australia game? But no, we better not, had we?
I can't wait. I can't wait for the end of the Schmidt era.
Yeah, I do feel like we probably need to. There's no game to discuss in terms of Saints-wise, so yeah, perhaps internationals is probably where we need to start today, because we had a bucket load of them, genuinely, what was it, 13 or something in action over the weekend.
Oh yeah, there's so much representation, isn't there? And last night at the forum, Dallas, as he has in the press and whatever as well, made the clear point of how difficult it is to transition these people back in and out of England camps or Scotland camps or England A camps, whatever, back into playing the Saints way. And you just think that the number of players we've got out at the moment, there must be so much going through, because he made the point that it's like, for a lot of them, it's they're sort of dipping their toes into that environment, and therefore they've got that first experience of coming out of camp back into Saints. Whereas, Finn and Dingers and Pollock and Freemo, etc., have now got that sort of built-in experience. They've done it a few times. And he said how, they'd almost, I think the coaching squad had sort of taken it a bit for granted, but because Courtney Laws was so experienced, someone like Courtney Laws was so experienced of going from camp to camp and just delivering every time, that they had to sort of appreciate and learn that for a new man going into camp and then coming back into the Saints squad, that's quite a bit of a mental challenge. So it was interesting, that piece at least.
Yeah. It's always been the same, though, isn't it? Especially when the type of play is so different as well. I'm just, like you said last week, about a bit worried about the boys coming back after playing whatever class of rugby you want to call that English type of rugby, and then trying to come back in and play the way we play. But hopefully, like you said, they're quite experienced at it now. So let's hope they, and hope Tommy's not out for too long.
Yeah, well, he did. Dowson said he's going to at least miss the next 2 England games. So he's obviously not in the team for the weekend, and so I presume not in the next England game anyway. So fingers crossed, it's nothing more serious than that. But Jess, you were at the game, weren't you? So what was the England Fiji game? What was the atmosphere like?
The atmosphere was really good. So I don't know if it was just that, I don't know if it's something about Fiji themselves. Everyone gets really excited to watch them, no matter what side you support. Because I know people have talked about, I know you went to the Australia game, Charles, and so did my dad, and they said it was quite a dead atmosphere and people weren't really that into it. It wasn't a very good game. And I should say, from an English performance perspective, was it an amazing game? No, I still don't think that they're working as well together as a group as they should be. But it was an entertaining game in terms of what was actually on the field. Fiji scored some great tries, so did England. So it was actually really entertaining from a rugby perspective, even if I could say from an English perspective that isn't a side or a squad I think that's going to beat the All Blacks and some of the more top teams I just don't think they're there yet. And I worry that they're not going to be there, very possibly. But it was certainly a more entertaining game than the week before. But you could also argue that England perhaps kind of let them in quite a few times, and it was a good game. And it is difficult having so many players out and them all having to come back in. But I still feel the overwhelming feeling is kind of pride in how well the team is doing, that it's getting recognised not just by England but obviously by other countries. So I think, what was that, 6 players for the England senior squad, 3 for England A, 2 for Scotland, 1 for Italy. It's pretty good going when you think about it. To have all of them, and obviously it's unfortunate for Scotland because I think they should have got the win that day. But for England and Italy, they've had really good experiences so far in terms of winning. But Yeah, it was a good game. It was a good atmosphere. It was a good day. I think I know that they hadn't sold as many tickets. So from what I understand, they were having to give a lot of free tickets out to like grassroots and community clubs. But it was, yeah, I think they ended up with 72,000 people, so it wasn't far off of like full in the end. But yeah, it was a good day. And I feel like sometimes when the prices are a little bit lower and it's not a quote unquote, I hate saying tier one nation because I think Fiji are really good and I feel like that does them a bit of a disservice, but technically they're still considered a tier two nation. Um, I feel like sometimes you get more like genuine rugby fans going, whereas sometimes I feel like for things like Australia and New Zealand, there's also a heavy kind of corporate sellability about these games that perhaps isn't necessarily there for Fiji. So it felt like people were actually really into the game and the atmosphere was really loud and people were really into what was going on.
That was exactly what I was about. That was exactly what I was about to say to you. You just said it at the end that you get more proper rugby fan. No offense to them that go, but the big like Australia, New Zealand ones, they're like a lot of them are hospitality, like you said. So the atmospheres are never as good. So the Fiji game, you go in because you want to see a rugby match. You know what I mean? That's going to be harder to. So you were bang on exactly that. And it's sad really, but that's the way it is. When I saw some guy was offering a ticket on one of the pages on Facebook for the New Zealand game, so 162 quid.
Yeah,
it's just it's not
Whereas
a family, it's not a family day out anymore,
no.
is it?
And the thing is, a lot of people were kind of complaining about the prices of a lot of people like, oh, I'm not going to pay for a day out at Twickenham for the Fiji game because it's X amount of money. And I was like, but would you be willing to go to Australia for more? Because that's what it was. Like, our tickets were we were in L block. We were like on the last in the top row of L block, and we were right on the 22 line, and they were 91 quid face value. I was like, so actually, it's not. Like you said, you're probably paying 130, 140, 150, 160 for like seats in the same place or nearly equivalent. And I was like, so I didn't really quite buy into. I'm not saying it's not an expensive day because it definitely is, but I'm not sure I'm kind of buying into that narrative about the England and Fiji game when that narrative doesn't exist. Sometimes it does obviously exist overall. But yeah, it's just I suppose it's a shame it's not a sellout because my God, they're so fun. Like Fiji are so fun to watch. It's some of the things they did with that ball. I was like, this is ridiculous. Like it's you just know they're going to be fun to watch. And I had always felt that, and this isn't any kind of thing on like Australia necessarily, but I never felt like that was going to be as fun a game to watch. And I also don't think that I'm not convinced the England All Blacks one is going to be as fun to watch either as England Fiji. They bring. I think the Fiji team as well. Like their fans are so happy. The team is always so happy. It just kind of adds something to the experience. So I was really glad to that was the one that we were able to get tickets for.
You say that, but then the year before then, the Australian match was outstanding. Like both teams played an unbelievable game of rugby, and like.
But I'd seen the teams, and I knew it was outside the window, and there was some issues sort of with the Australian team, and I was like, I just knew it wasn't going to live up to the potential that it could, and that it could have lived, that we know it has lived up to in the past, you know.
Yeah, I mean, with Fiji as well, like every time I see him play, I just don't like Tubasova. I mean, he is such a unit, like, and he's so athletic. He is an outrage. It doesn't matter if he plays on the wing or at 12, whatever. He is. Have fun stopping him, you know. I didn't feel much for Dingwall having to cope with him, and I think he did quite a job, quite a good job to be fair to him. But yeah, I think the problem with it. Sorry,
I was going to say you mentioned in Fiji. I was saying I know it happens, and England do it as well. Wales do it, Scotland do it. You imagine that Fijian side, if the Aussies and the Kiwis didn't pinch their best players, they'd be tier one all day long. You look back in 10 odd years ago, half the All Black side were Fijian. It's like it's just mad. It's just.
I don't think that's the case anymore now. I think you look at a lot of it, and the people accuse people of being Fijian when they're born in Australia. So it's like there is obviously a few players that do move across because there's a lot of immigration that goes from from the Pacific Islands to Australia and New Zealand. It's no different to George North playing for Wales, or whatever. Like it happens exactly the same.
It's a bad thing. But I'm saying, you imagine the players that have represented Australia and New Zealand that are Fijian, their team would just be epic. Like it's already good, but like some of the best players are from there, aren't they? It's just insane.
I think they would develop. I think they've got the side that they've got now. And you see it now. You're starting to see it with their World Cup performances as well. But the side is there. The problem is none of the stakeholders in the game are opening up and giving them a level playing field. Why are Fiji not in a tier one competition? Why are they not in the Rugby Championship? Why? If they were competing against the rugby championship teams on a annual basis, and they were also therefore getting a share of any revenue from that tournament. They would be able to fund their rugby correctly. They would fund their team correctly, and they'd be light years above everyone else. Why are they not letting them in? Same reason why no one wants to let any other teams into the Prem, because you're divvying up the central income. So, why would you vote? Why would Turkey's voting for Christmas? And also, if you let them in, you realise that the potential of them is unlimitless. Like they would be such a phenomenal side given the opportunity to put in some really professional structures around how they operate. But you could then say it might coach the natural skill and talent out of them. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like you say. It's great when they get involved. They're such a fun team to watch. I would love. I know Fiji and their own nation, etc. But I would love World Rugby to like create a Pacific Island, and I know they've tried it in the past, but a Pacific nations sit team. It'd be like the West Indies, in cricket. Put a Tonga, Samoa, Fiji combined side, and have fun stopping that side. Like it would be unreal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be pretty decent. Yeah, it's all about money, isn't it? Same as rugby as it is at the minute. Don't put the money in, they're not going to develop, and they don't really get a chance to play outside of these autumn internationals, do they? So that's the other thing.
No, they talked about England have obviously got like the Six Nations. They have like summer games. Like obviously a lot of the players in the England setup have had the Lions this year, then the autumn international, so that they just have so much more. I'm not saying that it's working out great for England because I really don't think it is. I just don't think they're very cohesive as a group. But they certainly have more chances to get to that level than a team like Fiji.
You have the Pacific Nations group, so but the problem being with that is every final is Fiji v Japan. I think Fiji have won it 6 of the last 7 times, and the one they didn't win, the New Zealand Maori, for some reason were in the tournament. So they're a bit like Georgia in the European thing, in the sense that they're way above the rest of Europe. They're still not probably competing with the Six Nations. Well, they'd probably be Wales.
No, and the reality is we used to have that's the interesting thing, isn't it? You used to have the conversation of like, why are Italy still in the competition? But they've finally been able to find some really, really good form, to be fair to them. They're looking really, really good and really strong. And that's always really positive for the Six Nations as well, because it really is a bit crappy when you've got and that is kind of where we are with Wales. Although I must say, obviously they quite heavily lost to Argentina, but I think there's some really good stuff in that team that they did. And hopefully they're back on the way up. Because it's never nice having a tournament where you can easily see one team that's so significantly lower on the kind of level of performance to everyone else, and that's what you want, really. You want a strong, and at the moment Italy have got themselves there, and it's just unfortunate that Wales have kind of fallen off and they're trying to kind of claw themselves back, with Steve Tandy now in charge. Hopefully they can see some sort of improvements, but I mean, I suppose the main thing really thinking about Saints is obviously just how good it was to see so many Saints players on that stage. I mean, it's a hard one against Fiji. I don't think the team played very well, so I think it's a bit difficult to kind of pick out some Saints players that had really great days. I sort of watched the Scotland-New Zealand one on my phone on the various trains I had to get to Twickenham, so I couldn't really see much.
I'll answer that question for you. Roy Hutchinson was unbelievably good.
Yeah, so that was what I was going to say. So I saw all the comments afterwards. I was like, I'll see what everyone said about the game, and fans from all over the shop, they're just talking about Rory for the whole. And there was one little bit I saw of an incredible pass that he did at one point. They were showing on replay. I was like, well, yeah, that's the Rory we know and love. Come on, we're used to this at this point.
That's the thing, though. I don't think they got the best out of Rory at all. So he played very much like a traditional 13 almost. And what was amazing about what he did, the performance that stood out unbelievable was his defensive qualities. He was absolutely smashing people. He was a nuisance at the breakdown, pushing for turnovers. There's a couple where he should have been rewarded, but I mean, we're not going to talk about the standard of refs, but he should have been rewarded a couple of times. But his one, if we were playing top trumps, and one of the skill pieces was playing close to the line with multiple options, fine and pulling the right decision, right, he would be the top trump. Like you could have all the players in the world all have their top trumps card. If that was a skill, he would be the top trump. And they didn't use him whatsoever in that attack at all. It was always to Pelotto out playing its first receiver and playing out the back to Finn. So it's strange because it's like he played unbelievably well, but not really with the skill sets that set him apart from everyone else. So
but then also you think back to that game, and I've already forgotten like which opponent it was, where he won turnover after like we do know that is also kind of a key, is a key part of this game as well. But I'm just really like, I think I said this last week or the week before, that out of everybody, no matter what the nationality is, like all the Saints players, he's probably the one I was like most happy for, because it feels like it's should have been coming for a while. But you also have the difficulty of their regular centre partnership is Tua Pelotto and Jones, which is like a world-class centre partnership. So you sort of think, where does he get in? And obviously he couldn't play the week before because it's outside of the window and he wasn't released. And so and so I really wasn't. This isn't anything against him. I just, based on sort of how the team have selected before, I just wasn't expecting him to be in there. So to see his name on the starting, not just there, but starting at 13, was just like genuinely proud, because I feel like he's been playing so well for us. Probably been, I'd say this season so far, like one of, if not the standout player in terms of how he's just thrown himself into everything. And we've just been, feels like I feel like he's also, you could see sometimes that he's felt like a lot of disappointment at the way he gets called into camp, then let go. Then sometimes he gets called back up again and then not used again. And that's got to be such a difficult thing. And sometimes we have, and again, I don't blame him, because it's such a mentally taxing thing that sometimes we've seen that in Saints performances where he's just not quite, he's a little bit detached from it, where he's probably just a little bit annoyed at the sport in general, which is totally fair. And whereas this season he's just locked in. So yeah, it's really good to see him, like, as I say, like get his flowers and get selected. Especially to play against the All Blacks as well. I mean, it's so unfortunate they couldn't do it, right? It's still been, I hate to make the point to any Scottish Saints fans listening, but obviously to still not have beat them in 120 years just feels really sad. And they were so close. To, especially to come from 0-17 down, to even get yourself back to a level playing field, to even put yourself in the position, is ridiculous. But they're another team that is really good to see them like improving and getting close. Yeah, they haven't done it just yet, but it feels like it's coming, right? It doesn't feel like a if situation anymore. Like they are up there and they're getting better, which I said is only good for Six Nations, World Cups, etc. to see these teams go really far. And then we had Fischetti with, and you're going to hate this, Charles, because you're an Australian supporter, but Fischetti getting the win.
It was amazing that he got the win, obviously, but I would say that that was probably the one strength Australia actually had, was at scrum time. They seemed to do all right. Tupu was a bit of a menace for Fischetti, I think. But yeah,
I think they deserved it though. I think the Italians deserved it.
Oh,
their tries. Their tries were just amazing. Some of their tries, the one they'd gone for their own line, and then I forget the winger's name. Is he Tongan or Samoan? I forget his name.
No, he's Australian.
Australian. Sorry, he's Australian. Yeah.
The two try scorers for Italy were Australian.
Australian.
Yeah, the one where they ran the length of the pitch and the hands and the run. Oh, it was absolutely beautiful.
They are glorious. They've got like is it Melancello? I don't know who the team was, so I can't. But like they've got some players in there, and they've got like they've got some players in there. They're so like stunning to watch when they play. So it's like it's not just that they're doing better; they're also doing some really really nice stuff on the pitch, which is great.
It's just a massive shame that Sergio Parisi wasn't in this side, because he was a standout world class player, and he was always in a rubbish team. Now, if he'd been in that side, they'd put up another level, because they're just getting better and better. They're going to be
It goes back to the Welsh issue, right? So the reason why Italian rugby is becoming stronger and more competitive is because Benetton are becoming stronger and more competitive. You look at the tight side and they're competing they're not, finishing Zebra perhaps, but Benetton are not finishing bottom constantly, like they were before. They are challenging in that league. Yeah, they're not storing them away, but they're up there. Whereas you look at the Welsh sides, I mean, Cardiff this year, they're seemingly doing pretty well, but the domestic rugby in Wales is so poor that you can't, Gatland pulled miracles having that period of success with the side that he had. but because it was built on no foundation. That Welsh domestic rugby with the regions is there's no fans watching rugby. So until they get fans through the doors watching their domestic rugby, whatever shape that takes, what can they expect to do? You can't just pluck 15 men out of Wales, put them in the Millennium, and expect them to be successful. They've got to be playing.
Maybe they should go back to the old days of the actual regions, not like they are now. They're like a franchise, aren't they? Like just go back to Llanelli, Bridgend, Cardiff.
They were clubs, so they were
That's what I mean.
Which they were like rather than regions, they were club
I didn't mean regions. Yeah, they're regions now, aren't they? That's what I mean.
Yeah, they were essentially like the same format as the English league, but they elected to go more closer to the Kiwi or the Irish provincial regional approach. But the problem is, and I have the discussion with one of my good mates all the time. He was Welsh, and he says what you don't understand is it's so fierce in terms of rivalry in Wales. It's so tribal. If the person from the next valley along is basically a foreigner, that there isn't that, putting two of those clubs together and saying now you're a region, like that doesn't really work. It's the equivalent of the way he says of putting Leicester and Saints together and go, right, you're now one team, right? But that's so imagine that's what they've gone through, and the disconnect between the decision makers and the grassroots rugby has put them in a position where their domestic game, which, as you said, like the traditional, the Neefs and the Llanelli and all those famous old clubs. Cardiff was a weaker side, really. Like, wasn't one of the big, but they're almost a given because it's a city now. But like that seems to have lost. Pontypridd, whatever. They're all those teams. They're just they've got to find a way of fixing the domestic game. I don't think getting rid of one of the regions is like the silver bullet they think it is. But
the thing is, they've got some like standout players. While I was watching the Wales Argentina game, I mean, Jack Morgan was a freak before he got his injury, which looks like a long term one. They've got people there that they could kind of use to kind of like push them up. So yeah, it'd be interesting what the Six Nations brings this year and what it's like. I'd say as well, it's nice to see like the England A team going as well. Like it's good that people get the opportunity. I mean, I am like absolutely thrilled that Hendy's getting a go. Like I love that kid
this weekend.
I mean, he's going to run absolutely right, isn't he? Come on, like it's going to be a joyous occasion. Like, so yeah, it's good to see him getting in there because I feel like he's done enough at least to get like an England A call up and kind of get them to have a little look at what he can do. Because I mean, 15 is still such an issue for England, but I suppose it's a positive that I believe Ferguson's. He is playing on the wing as he is, yeah. But you also feel like he has played at 15, and they might. You never know with England; they might look at him at either or. It's kind of hard to tell with them at the moment, isn't it? Really. But they did say I think
still a pup, though, isn't he? He's still only 20.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. But then you've also got to think about some of our other Saints lads that are in the setup. Pollock is younger than him. A couple of them are only a couple of years older than him. Like
different position though. In the pack,
no, it is. But I don't agree with the whole thing of like I think if you're good enough, you play no matter your age. I've always thought that, but
I'd pick him ahead of bloody Stewart anyway.
I think that's the thing. I was going to say, like, it's positive that I believe that Thirds and Slights are to be back in contention from this weekend.
They're playing this weekend.
They're playing.
They're playing this weekend exactly. So, there's no way Ferbs is getting in any England team at the moment. Even if he plays well this weekend, I still don't think they'll risk that. But you've got to think that for the Six Nations, if he's playing well, because the reality is if he plays at the level he did before, he's the obvious choice. And look, I feel like we're always singling out Stewart, but the reality is outside of his game in the air, he's incredibly poor. Really, I'd say I feel like that's being kind of generous. So it'd be interesting to kind of see what level Ferbs can get back to and if he's able to push for that spot again. Because I think out of all the spots, that one is seriously open in terms of their choices at the moment. Really feel to be like Stewart or Marcus Smith, and I don't think either of them are the types that other players that are going to get you beaten.
Isn't it funny though how those two players are like complete chalk and cheese?
Yeah,
they've literally got the opposite skill sets.
They do. Yeah.
You've got Marcus Smith. Like I think in attack England's best attacking options is the
Yeah.
Smith combo. Like, that Marcus Smith is better, like a bit more space, a bit outside, a bit wider, second ball player, and therefore if you have Smith, Dingwall, Lawrence, with Freeman and Fairboso and Smith, you've got really a threatening attacking option. That's a World Cup winning backline, I think. But without the ball, you sort of think, oh, is he? But then you put Stewart in, and you go, well, with the ball, he's useless. So it's like they are completely chalk and cheese. But
exactly, that's how we
I
know
think
we're going to play against New Zealand, isn't it? Got Ford at 10 and Stewart running just high ball, high ball, high ball. That's all it's going to be.
against us, against Australia, he dropped the first 4 balls.
Yeah.
Like,
I think I think I'm mainly just kind of disappointed for Finn. Like, do I think he's at the level he was kind of before? No, I think even he would probably admit that. I'm still not quite sure he's done anything specifically wrong per se, but I think it's just like it's about game management, isn't it? And I would probably say at the moment, no, neither do I. But they seem to have this weird obsession with George Ford having to be in, so that just seems to be the way that they're going right now. But I just feel like you said it before, Charles. Like, if they're not on top, I don't think he's capable of getting us back on top. Whereas if we're in the lead, I think he's good. Like you've said it before, he's really good at ramping up pressure and making sure that like you stay in the lead. But I sort of worry that we're probably not going to be in the lead, and we're probably not going to be in the lead quite quickly. And I kind of wonder what might happen.
It's more of a momentum thing, I think, with him. I think if your forward pack is dominant and it's giving you clean front foot ball, he looks amazing because he can pull the strings. He's not challenged. He can make the decisions, etc. If you're under pressure, he just sort of goes missing because his only real out is to kick long. So I think Finn Smith is a fly half that can go and win you a World Cup. I don't think George Ford is that player, but I think Borthwick is he's not being brave enough. He's making decisions on that. George Ford is the safe call. He plays a safer brand of rugby, a tighter brand of rugby in theory, and therefore he's making like against these big teams where they need the points so they remain in the top 6 and get the best draw for get the best good a draw as they can for the next World Cup. He's making like the sort of safe safe decisions, whereas what you'd love to see as a fan, I think, is you want to see a team that the bold decisions, go out and pick an attacking lineup that can take the game, dominate a game. Don't go into it expecting it to be tight and we're going to play to be tight. Go into it to win the game. Northampton Saints go into, we're so lucky at Northampton watching the side that we watch and the way they play because they go out to put their game on the pitch. They go out to win the game of rugby. They go out to, they say on our day we can beat. That's what Dowson said last night. On our day we can beat any team in the world. If we go out there and put our game on the pitch, we can go with anyone. And that's the mentality. Whereas England seems to almost have this inferiority complex against the All Blacks and the Saffers that they need to play in a certain keep it tight, take your points, go out and be better. England are the richest union. They've got more professional rugby players than any other union. Go out and be the best team in the world.
I'm definitely happy. I'm obviously happy for Coles that he's got starting again and Dingers as well. And one thing I forgot to mention as well is like, so obviously last week they brought on like 5 subs at once with Pollock in there. But at first they were gonna do 4. And they had 4 people on the side. I was like, oh, this is great, this is cool. And people were sort of starting to cheer a little bit. And I kid you not, someone obviously told Henry, you're going on as well. He takes his jacket off, he throws it on the floor. The crowd went mental. I've never heard anything like it. And like, I still just think it kind of feeds into the idea of, love him or hate him. I think people that hate him are absolutely insane, but there we are. Like, he's doing what is needed for the game. Like, if one player can get the crowd so invested in what's about to happen on the pitch, I was like, I'm kind of all for it. And like, I think I saw some pictures afterwards, like he was like the last one on the pitch at the end, taking pictures, signing photos, signing shirts, whatever it was. Like, it's just such a massive net positive for the game. And like, to get to see what you could do against the All Blacks, like, I am buzzing like for that. Like, to have him come on and just see like what he's going to be able to do against, like, I mean, what they're still ranked 1 in the world, aren't they, at the moment, right? Like, so they're 2, sorry, behind South Africa. Like, so to be able to see what he could do against like the second best team in the world. Like, I don't see how you can't get excited for that, honestly.
I was watching the New Zealand. I can't think of what it's called. The show. There's clips of it. It's got Mullally, Stephen Donald, and that. And they were talking about Pollock, and they were like, "This kid." He goes, he absolutely electric. He goes, and when he does stuff, he just gives everybody that kick. He says, "This guy's just special." And then you got the Kiwis talking about him. You know, he's worldwide, and yeah, he's something special.
Yeah.
And I'll get just quickly back to the England team. I don't get why you wouldn't pick Finn again when you've got Mitchell at 9 and Dingers at 12. It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
Why would you? They've got a link that no one else can give.
I would say that I do think though that like I do feel like outside of like Ben Earl, who has been just like ridiculous, I would say Mitchell's probably. Oh yeah, he's been insane. I hate to say it because he's a Sarri, but I can't deny it. Like he's been. It's not. I actually have nothing against him personally. Like, but obviously it's hard when he's part of the Saracen setup and just having an instinctive dislike. But my God, he's been incredible. Like, so I'll give him that. But I would say outside of that, I'd say that like Mitch has probably been one of the best performers for England over the past sort of couple games. Like, he's probably I'd say the best performing Saints player as well out of the bunch at the moment. Which is, really, really great to see because there's always questions, people were pushing at one point, like, even on the Lions tour, the question was like, if Thomas Williams stayed fit, like he was really pushing for that shirt, but, Mitch was able to get it. And I think it was really good for the Lions. I think it's been so good for England in the 2 matches since. Yes, but it would be nice to see him obviously with Smith, definitely, but that doesn't seem to be in his plans at the moment. So we just kind of have to accept that as it is.
I think in our eyes, there's quite a lot of world-class talent in the Saints squad, but I think in the view of the rest of the world, that Mitchell and Freeman are hands down world-class talent. I think we all can see the value in Finn, that the talent of Finn. What got us to a European Cup final, won the Premiership, etc. I think we believe he's a world-class player. Dinger's underestimated, but what world-class talent. Hutch at certain things is top of the world in my opinion, right? So we've got these international players that we consider world-class, but that's us possibly with Saints tinted glasses on. But Mitchell and Fremo are undeniable.
Yeah, 100%.
They're world-class.
I think Finn is going to get there. I'm not convinced he's there quite yet, and I think obviously the Lions didn't quite go how he wanted it to, and I think there's a bit of a kind of a run on from that a little bit, and he definitely hasn't gotten to the level that I think he would like to be at. But we have also seen what he can do, and so if he can do that consistently over long periods of time, I don't have any question that he would be like a World Cup winning 10 and would be one of the best. But I think they're all young, right? Like I think they've got time to get there.
Yeah, I think with Finn though, it's just he hasn't actually played an awful lot of rugby.
No, exactly. So he hasn't played for such a long time when you consider it.
He was world-class performance in the Champions Cup final. Like, we almost won it, and then went on to the Lions, dropped back into Saints, and then played in and out for England. He hasn't actually played a consistent run of games, and therefore it's almost like he's gone down in his pedigree because he hasn't had the opportunity to show what he's like, because he is quality world-class player. He's a better option than George Ford, who smashes the Argentinian side, second string Argentinian side, and everyone thinks he's this Messiah.
Yeah, the Messiah. I think hopefully he has like a good December and Jan with us. Like, he can get some good weeks worth of performances in there, that when it comes to the Six Nations, hopefully he gets a look in. But yeah, I think my worry is just that if they're sticking with Ford at this point with the World Cup like 2 years away, my worry is that is who they're looking for to be
too old.
And he's just signed. Well, is he? I mean, he's just signed a 3-year contract with Sale, so he's planning to keep going for at least 3 years. I wouldn't say he's too old. I don't really believe in that, but it seems to me like he seems to be the person at the moment that Borthwick is almost favouring for that spot. I mean, a lot could happen in 2 years, but I can't help but feel that once you get halfway through the cycle, like, you need to start thinking genuinely who your players might be.
If you've got
I don't know if he's got an idea.
If you've got a mid-30-year-old leading your line at the World Cup, you've got a bit of trouble. No offence.
You say that, but then you also look at something I was looking at the weekend when we were watching South Africa and Wales. The amount of them that are in their mid-30s and how they're playing at the moment, I actually don't think that, like, they were. Yeah. I mean, they didn't start off great against France, but once they dominated, it was the level that they got to, even the level that France were at, even though they couldn't beat them. Like, they're so. I feel like even New Zealand, I feel like those two were so far above how everyone else performed over the weekend.
Yeah, I'm not
I mean,
saying
I
they're
don't
too
think I don't
old.
think all of
I
them.
just
I don't think all of them are going to get. I think a lot of the South African team's going to retire in very short space of time,
no,
and I
no,
wonder what their kind of
no, no.
backups
I
are.
don't mean it.
But
I don't mean that.
I think he's what is he now? 32,
33, I think. What I
3?
mean is when you've got the quality of someone like Finn Smith underneath you, like the reason the South Africans are playing is because they play so well together, and age is only but a number. But on paper, if you had the option to sign either now, who would you sign? You're going to
No,
sign Finn Smith, aren't you?
I'm not talking about it from that perspective. And I'm not saying I disagree. I'm just saying I have a suspicion that Borthwick is going with Ford for the next 2 years. It is where it feels like he's going. Like again, anything can change. Like injuries can
Yeah,
happen,
I
form can
don't
drop off.
I
But I
don't
think
think that is
I
the
think it's
case.
I think it's telling that he against the All Blacks he wants Ford to be the 10.
Like I said,
And it's not and that Smith is completely not involved. Like I think it'd be a bit different if he was, and I see why they've had to go for Marcus Smith because they want the 15 coverage. But I don't know. I would
yeah,
just say I'm not saying that that will definitely be the case, but I also wouldn't be surprised if in 2 years George Ford is still the 10 that he decides to go with. Because I don't
the
think Borthwick likes to pick a risky game of, like you said, I think he's very much, unfortunately, quite boring and very safe option, and I think that's who we've used the safe option as.
I think he's doing that. I suspect that he is making that safe decision for these fixtures against these teams because
Yeah,
world ranking points are so big at the moment. They need to be beating
yeah,
these teams through the autumn so that they can guarantee themselves to be in the top six. So that when they draw the World
yeah,
Cup,
yeah. The
they
rankings,
do
yeah,
it. But come the Six Nations, I think he's more likely to then back
yeah.
Finn.
That would be
Um,
the telling point, I suppose. Yeah,
yeah,
it'd be like
yeah,
what
it will be
happens in
that.
the what happens
Yeah,
in that Six Nations, but.
that would be
Yeah,
the tender. I agree.
I'd still question if like if you want the ranking points, you want to beat these teams. I still don't know if Ford's necessarily the right answer. But like you said, it's probably the safe option. Like,
Old
does
faithful.
he?
Yeah.
I would say that he never. I wouldn't say he ever does anything like absolutely out of this world. But I'd also say that like he's pretty consistent. You know, like he probably is, like you said, the safer option consistency wise, and like at the moment. So
The thing is,
Did you?
I think we're just spoiled because we watch some of the best rugby you'll see in the world. Quick passing, running, great lines, and I think we're just like we're not. I wouldn't say Saints tinted glasses, but we can see the talent the boys got.
yeah,
And
but
I
what I
just think,
feel
but
like
England don't play like that. England don't play like that, so I get it.
And I feel
So
like it isn't just a detriment from the Saints' perspective. Like you've got teams like Bath that play really fast rugby. Some of the teams that play really, really fast rugby. That is kind of how the game is played right now, right? There's so much tempo and speed in the game. The fact that he seems to think that English should play a completely different way blows my mind when a lot of the players he's picking aren't used to picking that.
yeah,
Like,
same thing.
you know,
Yeah.
like the two games that
The,
Freeman played, he barely got the ball. And that's insane to me because we know what he can do when he's got it. Like it's mental to me that you're going to play. I would say probably like the best winger in the world, genuinely, and the game plan is like don't involve him in the game. I don't get it, and like and I don't just think it is like from a Saints perspective. But I said I think a lot of Prem teams play the game. They like to play a bit more with a bit more. I wouldn't say many of them can match us, and like maybe a Bristol we're very very fast, but they try, you know. And Bath play up tempo, and you've got you know a large chunk of Saints players, a good chunk of Bath players in there. Even Sarries like to play with pace. Like you've actually got all these clubs that like to play, not like fully similar, but they like the tempo in the game, and he's decided that the idea is to like remove it from the equation. And I think that's why England aren't playing very well, not just the Saints players. I don't think England are playing very well because it's so antithesis to the way that those 23 players play week in, week out. And I don't think he's gotten the best out of any of the people he's picked yet, except maybe Ben Earl, because he's like a person unto himself. But I don't think he's getting the best out of a single one of that team, like, for most of it at the moment.
I fully agree with that point. And that I think you bang on. Like why are you not playing the way in which a lot of the Premiership generally has most ball in play, most
Yeah,
tries scored, most points scored, and it's a much faster league than it probably gets given credit for. But it
yeah.
is. I don't agree that Bath play a fast. I think Bath play an incredibly physical game of rugby.
No,
I
they
think
do. Bath are one of those that I think they do a really good job of marrying the two.
Yeah,
I do think they do a good job of marrying
because
the
of the
two
talent they've got. They do,
Yeah,
they do,
exactly.
and I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
I think Saracens are still defense driven, kick chase driven.
yeah, yeah,
But they
100%,
they've
yeah,
but they've got the talent within the league means you do
yeah,
get a lot of running and a lot of pace because the talent is so high.
yeah. I just think we've
But
got so many individuals that they're just isn't just that they're fast, but they're really good with ball in hand whilst being fast. And I was like,
and
against
I
Fiji, and this isn't anything against Fiji, but like, and I know in the end it was a 20-point gap in the end. But the reality is that Fiji are not. They're a little bit. They also struggle with some of the kind of key elements of the game. And like you should have been able to give the ball to some of these guys, and they should have been able to run riot, and it just didn't happen. And it like I said, it didn't happen over Australia. Like Australia were poor pretty much from minute one, and I didn't feel like we capitalized on that whatsoever.
I just think
So it's kind of
I
a
think he
shame,
just
but
plays. I think he plays the way when he used to play. That's how he plays rugby. Rugby's
I don't
moved
even
on
think
now.
it's just that. I think he has this idea of like playing like percentage rugby, like what is
yeah,
the what is the safest option or what's most likely to
Yeah,
work in this given scenario. When
it's
actually
not.
what you want to do is like you don't want to be like what's the best option in this given scenario. You want to create the scenarios. So go out there and do something different and create different scenarios that you know your players are really good at. Not yes, you have to bear in mind the opposition, right, and what the opposition do really well. And yeah, there is a bit of it of like percentage wise, what's the best option in this situation against this team. But sometimes you just want to be like, just give someone the ball and let them run and let them try something and just see what happens.
I think we were so lucky when Chris Boyd came to Northampton and installed the concept of, get as much the most skillful people we can get in place and then back them to be skillful. And
Yeah.
if they make the right decision but their execution isn't perfect, well, we'll back them because they made the right decision. If they make a
Yeah.
terrible decision, then well, you made a terrible decision. You shouldn't have done that. That's not what we're trying to do here. But if you've gone to do something, gone to get your arm free and offload, because if you did that, it would create a try. Then we'll back you to do it, and they work incredibly hard and focus on upskilling technical skills,
Yeah.
hand eye and all this sort of stuff, so that they can back themselves. They know they've got the talent in the bag to go out and execute this stuff. With England, that's not the mentality.
No.
They're not backing the players to go out and be as good as they are. They've got to, right, this is international rugby as we see it. Hit hard, keep things tight, grind your way up the pitch, kick your goals, or get a penalty, go to a call and roll it over, right? So they're not even. It's almost a case of if we've got a bit of space, let's not try and move it to the edge and get short score try. Let's take that opportunity to win territory and get down the other end. And so you get these
Yeah.
dodgy, horrible games, but
And that's
Which
what
is
I
really
said.
weird to me
That's how he
because
used to play. That's how he used to play rugby.
yeah.
That's what it
But
was
I find
like
it
that
really
then.
I find it really odd because you think back to like some of the games in the Six Nations. I said this before, like the game against France where we won in the end is because they just left that game plan behind and it was, you know what, do what you feel comfortable with. And like Finn Smith and Tommy Freeman, like that partnership just like blossomed in that match and like, changed some of the complexions of the game. And like I get it, right? At the end of the day, you're an international coach, and to keep that kind of job, you have to win. But I honestly think they're in the ironic situation of by trying to play these percentages of what you think is going to win, it makes it harder to win.
yeah, and the reality is as well is that's not going to win you World Cup. South Africa
No.
can play like that because they are physical freaks, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are a different breed of human being. They are enormous, right?
Mhm.
England need to play set piece, territory, and back the skill set within the league. You've got to have your strong set piece. You've got to play with the right in the right areas of the pitch. But then you've got some of the best attacking players in the world. Let them go. Let
Yeah.
them strike. Let them go.
Because
Anyway,
I
I
mean,
think
at
we
the
need to
very
move
least,
on.
I should say, like at the very
Yeah,
least, like if you're playing at that kind of tempo, there are going to be some teams out there that you can just wear down because they just can't match it. Because I think the Prem is such a good product, and the way that they play is such a good, fast, exciting product at the moment that there will be teams that just can't compete with that level of speed and that level. Like we've talked before about like the speed at which Mitch recycles balls from the floor. Like it's ridiculous. Like there'll just be some teams out there that just physically cannot match that, and yet we're making it very easy to be matched. Is how that's kind of my overriding feeling of we're making it
yeah, yeah.
very
I think
very
so.
easy for teams to be on the same level as us when we should be able to be. But yeah, I suppose we've got a Saints game to talk about this weekend.
Yeah, but no, but there's a point I made. They should be aspiring to be the best in the world. Like, and
Yeah,
Saints have shown that when they play against foreign opposition, Leinster away, for example, you know, they can beat those teams because they play a brand of rugby that teams can't cope with them. There's no reason why
yeah,
England couldn't do that.
You
But
mean
yeah,
Ireland?
anyway,
You
let's
mean
get to
Ireland,
the
not
cup.
Leinster?
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, Ireland.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but let's get to the cup game this weekend. I mean, I imagine the team's going to be similar to the Quins one. Fantastic news to say that Sly Home and Furbank will be playing. Whether they'll start or
hallelujah.
bench, I don't know. But that's amazing to
Yeah,
think they've got 2 games now to get fit ahead of Bristol. That's such a boost.
yeah. 100%. Because like that Bristol game's going to be hard. Like they were kind of our bogey team last year. We didn't beat them either home or away, did we? Sorry, the year we, or potentially also the year before as well. Like I know the year we won the title, like I don't think we beat them either time. But they're kind of a bit of a bogey team in that way. So we're going to need the best that we've got because, like you said, those England players. Like I think there's only one international match that weekend. I think it's Wales and South Africa. So, but we won't have any of our players still, obviously, because they will have just played international. We're not going to have them for at least that week. And so
Well,
having
the
people like
rule is
Ferbs and Slights
they
who've
have to
played
rest
in,
a player once in the next 3 games after the
yeah,
international period. So they
yeah,
could elect to rest them in the European games, but they're
yeah.
probably not going to. So that Bristol away game, we're probably not going to have any
No, I
internationals.
wouldn't have thought because, like, we're not as it's a bit more difficult in Europe this year, isn't it? Because we didn't come as high in the Prem, so our kind of seeding, as it were, like it makes it a bit harder. So you've got to win all of your pool matches essentially. So they're going to be going as strong as they can for Europe. So I think it makes the most sense really that you're going to have some players that have played quite a bit in the Prem Rugby Cup that have gotten back to fitness. You might as well just get them in at Bristol and get that over and done with. Get all the players back ready for some big European fixtures. But I mean, obviously, we're going to be without. I'm assuming we'll be without the England days, so obviously we won't have Manny, we won't have Hendy, we won't have
Lockett.
McParland, Lockett. So yeah, they're all gone.
But
So
that's the
it's a big thing to have Ferbs back, definitely.
Yeah, I'd imagine those people wouldn't be playing anyway. I imagine, going through
No,
the side, it's going to
obviously.
be, West and Scholar. It's going to be in the second row. Probably be, the Tatman Frady and Walker again, Tonga Weir and who was sorry, Tonga Weir
Was
and who's the other
was it Munger last time?
Green,
Is Munger back in?
Green,
Green.
and then second row you've got Prowse, Munger.
Yeah.
The youngsters. There's a few youngsters as well. That
Yeah, they had like
that lad, by the
Finn
way,
Brown played, Archie Benson played it.
yeah, Benson and Ram. But just to go thinking about second rows, that university student from Loughborough, was he called something
Yeah,
Bennett? Oh my God, you
Ben.
you want to call him Gordon Bennett? He's massive.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
He's huge.
I mean, and then you've got to think. I suppose the only thing is that like you've got like 9 and 10, so you've got to figure like that's gonna. Well, it will have to be James and
Tony Bellew.
Wyman.
Wyman
Um,
James will be the options, and then you've
yeah,
got Tony
yeah,
Bellew at 10.
and then
In
yeah, you're
this,
gonna have a 10 playing 10, aren't you? Because especially as he will be playing. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the team won't be. I'm not saying the team isn't going to be strong. That's not what I mean by what I'm about to say. But it won't be like the strongest. I think they're going to be doing that against Leicester because A, it's Leicester. B, you need the team for Bristol. You need the team that's going to play against Bristol to play together at least once. I'd say.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I think, and again, this is no. I'm not trying to say this to like crap on Newcastle, but you've got to figure even if Newcastle's like a full strength team, we would still have a good shot even with a sort of B-ish side. I'm not saying we're definitely going to win because I have a feeling that Newcastle are just they don't really have much choice but to potentially just go as strong as they have. I haven't
Well,
really seen what they've been doing in the rest of the
no, they
tournament.
they have that exactly. So like
Yeah.
Newcastle are probably one of the harder teams to play in this competition because they
Yeah.
use it
Yeah.
to try and find form, and so they go pretty strong. They might
Yeah.
rest a few, etc., but they go pretty strong. So you end up having, our probably third, second string, probably more
Yeah.
like third in
It's like
a
a
lot of
it's like
options,
a B
third, fourth
it's a
options.
BC really, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. That team against essentially the Newcastle first team, and
Yeah.
so they might drop in someone like Lichfield, because Lumley played really well apparently, in the last fixture and looks a real good talent. So they want to get him some game time. Same with like Pater, but they might drop in Furbank and Litchfield because they probably need some game time through this spell as well. And it's not like they were so inundated with games before.
Yeah, and I'm not saying they won't do it, but I would be surprised if Furbank was a starting choice, just because that's a really long time, and not just the length of time, but injuries on different parts of the body, like arm, then legs. Like I'd be surprised, and I feel like this isn't anything against Furbank, but I feel like how Pater played in the last game, he kind of deserves the chance to do sort of 50 minutes this time. I think he played really, really well, and was one of the kind of standouts that day. And I just feel like I feel like maybe start Furbs at Leicester. I just wonder what his level of fitness and game ability. I still think he'll be ridiculously good no matter what, but I wonder if they just think maybe he needs sort of 30 minutes rather than 50,
they might start him and take him off though. They might bring
like a half time or half an hour. Yeah. Exactly. You certainly can do that, but it's just going to be fantastic to see both of them back this weekend. To be fair.
Yeah, exactly. That's the exciting thing. It makes the game really interesting, doesn't it? That they're always good fun, the cup games, and it's great to see that the youngsters coming through and the new players and the next captain off the rank to see those players, because we don't really have the opportunity to see them as much as we potentially used to. But it's also such a phenomenal tournament for bringing back injured players. We've done it a number of times through the years, and it meant a lot to be able to bring those players back.
Should have.
I mean, just to go back to a couple of positions, back to 10. There was actually one of the articles in the rugby paper this week, which thanks again for them for supporting us, but about Anthony Bellew and how he's loving playing in England, and and last night obviously at the thing, Dowson was sort of we would love to keep him, but you got the impression it's unlikely that that's going to happen. He's probably he wants to play for France, so he'll probably go back. It's almost like he's having a gap year in England, playing outrageously good rugby. But I think in the article and the thing, people should read it themselves. But he's very much loving his experience over here.
Is it just 1 year then? Or
1 year deal.
Is that it? That's a bit of a bummer. I thought it was a
it'd be nice if you could get
years.
Thing is, it depends. I suppose it depends also on what his conversations might have been with like those in charge of France. Whether there's any, because if they turn around and say, to be honest, mate, we're not really interested, or we've got these people in the frame, it convinces him, I suppose, to maybe stay for another couple of years. So I suppose it's also about what the conversations are that he's having with the French national team. Because they're not playing. France aren't at the level perhaps that we used to seeing, but I don't know if they're in a kind of situation where they're maybe that interested in changing that much. But it's hard to know. I couldn't even tell you what the hell is going on with the England team, let alone the French team. So.
Hasn't he played for like every French side though?
he's played for quite a lot of the big ones, yeah.
Exactly.
Toulouse, Toulon, and Clermont. So, I think the thing is that he could go. He is good enough that if he. I'm not saying he's going to go and start for Clermont, Toulouse, or Toulon, but if he went to one of the top half teams, he could probably be their starting choice 10.
Yeah.
So if he has ambitions, and if he is ambitious to play for France, he has to do that.
Yeah. Is he going to get in the French side though?
100%.
Well, if he plays as well as he has for moments for us,
then he will. It's Tamac and the guy from Bordeaux.
Jalibert.
Yeah.
You ain't I don't think so, but I wouldn't have thought so. But like you said, it's all about, like you said, sort of like think about it with like Scott Young, right? I don't know if he didn't really go because of like ambitions, but it was like fab. Like sometimes you just have a particular, for him, his family. Sometimes you just have a particular reason that it just makes the most sense for you. But irrespective of what happens, man, it's been really good having him here, and I think it just feeds into the idea that. And this, again, is no shade on anyone that's been like a replacement 10. I think, though, it really does highlight how much we need an actual 10 as an option here outside of Finn. Like, I know we've had, like, Rory's done it, Furbs has done it. Like, they're good, but they're not. I think also seeing Tony Bellew play so well really highlights that, like, some of those that have come on as replacements haven't quite hit that level. And that isn't their fault, right? It's not their position. Like, I wouldn't even begin to think about criticizing them for that. I just think what we've seen and what we will continue to see, because obviously he's staying until the end of the season, what I'm assuming we'll continue to see is like it really stressing how important it is that when we don't have Finn, we need a proper 10 at 10. So I think we are going to need to find somebody from somewhere if we can't keep Tony.
It's also his kicking off the tee is just insane as well. To have that to the full back on when he doesn't really miss at all. You never know. He might stay. He might love it here.
Well, I think he does, but like you said, like, oh well, he's not going to get in ahead of Ntamak and Jalibert, etc. But that's not going to be his mindset. He is an elite sportsman who's got to the top of the game, played for France. He's not looking at Ntamak and Jalibert and going, oh yeah, no, I'm probably not going to get in the side ahead of them. He's going to go. He's going to think, well, if I go to a club and play every week, I'll show that I'm better than them. Like that would be that would be his mindset. It won't be a case of, well, I'm going to stay in Northampton because I'm not going to get in the French side. So if he's ambitious to do it, he will. It's because he thinks he should be playing for France.
Yeah, but he could do that playing for us. The French haven't got a thing, haven't they? I don't think they've got.
They won't. They're not. They sort of said it last night as well, but I don't think it's a formal thing. But they're not going to pick a player playing in England. But yeah,
not when they've got the talent they've got playing in France. Like they don't really need to. So
I think our arm was twisted a bit. We had another 10, which there's news articles and all sorts of things going on with him. But he obviously left the squad. Yeah, so he obviously left the squad. So they obviously, and I know that there was a rumor that we were after Jamie Benson, who would have been an amazing signing, but he signed on with Quins. So I reckon if Tony Ballew doesn't stay on, I think they do recognise the need for the next cab off the rank at 10. I think they know that. I think for years like we kept signing 10s and Smiler kept seeing them off. How many 10s did we have a second coming to compete with Smiler or to replace Smiler, and then suddenly Smiler's back at 10 winning us games.
I always remember my mum's mentioned this to me loads of times that it was what commentator was it? Stuart
Barnes.
Oh my god, what's his name? Yeah, dynamism. Mr. Flippin' everything has to be dynamism. Like there's a thing about they'll never ever win the Premiership with Stephen Myler at 10, and then we did. And I was like, I feel like people underestimated that guy his entire career. He was so consistent, like unbelievably consistent. Considering how much he played for us, and he was the first choice 10 for such a long length of time. And yeah, sometimes it's really good not just to win the Prem because you love the team, but just to shut people like that up.
The irony as well is he got man of the match in the final.
He did, yeah. I know.
It's mad though, isn't it? Who do we have? It was Geraghty, JJ Hanrahan, Lammy.
We had Joe Ford.
Barry Everett was there as well for a time, wasn't he?
Barry Everett was before. Yeah, before it.
Yeah.
He came for the season when we were relegated. Myler was a young buck when Everett was played 10. Everett played most of the games in the Championship.
Yeah.
And Smiler was coming through. Yeah,
he was rugby league, wasn't he? He come from Salford's Reds. And,
they
said that he's not rugby league.
Our fly halves in the Championship: Carlos Spence, Stephen Myler, and Barry Everett.
Yeah. That's madness.
But something I do want to say real quick before we do the predictions is that you said mentioning rugby league, just so I realised that obviously it was a 7-4-5 game at the weekend, and it was really nice to see some ex-Saints represented. So I think Waller was playing, Wood was playing, Dicko was playing, and Dicko is as annoying as he was the entire time he played professional rugby. At one point, Luke Pearce was having such a fun time, but even at some point, I think Dicko was probably just on the level of I'm actually going to have to genuinely be serious with this guy. He's just one of those guys, wasn't he? That was you love to have him on the team, but Jesus, if you played against someone that was like him, it would absolutely wind you up.
That's what scrum half men do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they do.
I just want to say, just to kind of point that game out, because I see it's really important for the MND charity and the kind of community at the moment. And yeah, really good to see, some Saints guys getting stuck in.
Yeah, that there was, like you said, there's a few players from that era from Saints, and I think that shows you the quality of the men in that side. In terms of not just rugby players but people. Tom Wood, Waller, Dicko, etc. They all seem to be.
I mean,
really
Waller and Wood
people.
are still in tip-top shape. There was a clip going around that they talked about before that they were talking about, Tom Wood just chops wood all the time, just spends his day just chopping wood and doing a physical job. They have both kept themselves in.
I can't remember what team it was. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say they've you actually looked at Alex Waller and he looked exactly the same as when he stopped playing. That guy is not stopped at all in terms of like keeping himself in shape and stuff. So that was really funny. Whereas there were some players on like the league and the union side where they've obviously like they've been retired even longer and they've just given up all hope of keeping to that kind of like level, which was really funny. But yeah, I think Waller and Wood are still like recently enough retired that they're still they're still in good shape.
Yeah, but they were on the Waller was on the radio a few weeks back, and he said how I can't remember what team it was, but him and Wood turned out so for a like amateur Sunday team, like second string or something, just to get a game in, but to see they could see move etc. But imagine
Yeah.
going down to play your local game, playing for your local team, and suddenly Alex Waller's playing number 8 and Wood's playing 7.
I'd be like, I did not sign up for this. Like,
there was a funny video. I think it was Lewis Deacon coached the side. He's at the Tigers coach.
yes.
He coached one of the 7 the charity sides at the weekend.
Yeah.
And they just had him mic'd up, and he was commenting, and he was like, "Oh, he still can't catch," and "Oh, he's in pretty good
Yeah.
nick."
Yeah. It's so good.
That's
anyway,
a phenomenal. But that is a phenomenal thing that rugby's doing. It's
I'm
great
really
to see on
glad that
TV.
I'm really glad they televised it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it's also just a really fun watch, right? Because everyone is just having fun. Like Mike Tyndall, like did a really bad thing with that, and then just immediately was like, "I need you to sub me off." Like they were just having so much fun, and obviously raising lots of money and lots of awareness for a really important charity that obviously has unfortunately affected quite a few people from the rugby world, both league and union. So yeah, really good to see. But
yeah, definitely. Go on inside. Do you want to kick us off with predictions?
I have no idea because this could be like a men against boys, couldn't it? I'll go because I've got back Saints. I'll go 41-34 because I think Newcastle will come strong.
And a try scorer.
Oh yeah, I'll go Pater.
Pater, yeah. Okay, go on, Jess.
hold on. I'm gonna cheat and check what the weather's supposed to be like.
I was going to ask. I was going to mute the mic and ask Alexa what the weather's going to be like for Saturday.
Let's assume it's cold and wet. It's the autumn, isn't
it? Yeah, wet. In that case, I'm gonna come slightly down. Because I think people are going to drop the ball everywhere. I'm gonna go 32-25.
Ooh, I've already written mine down, and I've gone 32-21.
Yeah. As scorer, I'm gonna go Slights.
Oh, you nicked mine as well.
Sorry, I was like, I'm gonna pick one of the two that are coming back just because I want it to happen so badly.
Well, I'll go Thurbs then.
Yeah.
Just for the fun of it.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Brilliant. Thanks very much for listening. It's been an interesting chat. I know there's not been a lot of Saints chat, but it has sort of been Saints chat. But everything sort of falls into one, really, when you talk about rugby, because it's all so interconnected. But thanks for listening. It's been another good show. I've been Charles, Jess and Jess, Simon's been Simon. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.